And welcome to the Truth Radio Show with Dan Badandi on Alternate Current Radio. Today is Friday, October 31st, 2014, worldwide transmission right here on Alternate Current Radio. And welcome to the news hour. We're going to cover a lot of news today. I don't even know where to start, folks. And because we got Amtrak, I had a show Monday. I just laughed the whole show because the ridiculousness of Amtrak. You got Amtrak purchasing train tickets with cash is suspicious activity. Well, that's not all. We're going to get into that. This is, wow. That's all I have to say about Amtrak. Wow. Who they're saying suspicious activity. It is ridiculous. But we're going to get into that. We got the Pope now saying evolution is of God, And because the article here says the Pope's embrace of evolution brings us one step closer to a one-world religion. And the Pope Francis declares evolution and the Big Bang Theory are right, and God isn't a magician with a wand, magic wand. So denying the whole Bible. We're going to get into that. Attacks on Christians. We got a little more news on the whole FBI scandal. I think it's a giant scandal with the whole iPhone thing. I think it's a big hoax, to tell you the truth. We talked about this last week. We got a newer article on that. We're going to just touch on that briefly because we got Ebola news. We got tons of news on Cheerios and the gay adoption. We covered some of this news on our show Monday. So we're not going to stick to those because we got other news to cover. A week's headline news and try to squeeze into 1 hour. And plus, me babbling off my ranting. I try not to do that, but you can't help it. All this garbage comes out in the news. You got to report it, and you can't help not getting angry about it. You're not a human being if you don't get mad about this stuff. And except for you got to be like this brain dead zombie media. They'll read off a teleprompter. 4 kids died. Police shot them all. Not a care in the world. Because they're just reading anything they're told. They can read, hey, I'm a moron, and not even realize that they're calling themselves morons. I like to hijack a teleprompter during the live news show. That would be so awesome. Hey, I'm a tool. Mainstream media is brainwashing zombies. I would love to do that. But anyway, let's get right into the news. I want to start off first because we talked about this last week about the FBI griping about iPhone's new encryption service. So we talked about the articles last week. FBI criticizes tech giant Apple and Google for encrypting iPhones, and FBI director, if Apple and Google won't decrypt phones, we'll force them to. Then the Chicago police chief comes out to say, hey, the iPhone is a choice of pedophile. So we talked about that last week. We got a new article that just surfaced up. Now, and the FBI wants Congress now to mandate backdoors into tech devices to facilitate surveillance. And this is Homeland Security News Wire reports this. In response to the announcements by Apple and Google that they will make the data customers store on their smartphones and computers more secure and safer from hacking by law enforcement. Spies and identity thefts. FBI Director James Comey is asking Congress to order tech companies to build their devices with backdoors. Well, I bet he likes backdoors. We won't get to that. But anyway, making them more accessible to law enforcement agencies because they like the backdoors because they like to screw you. Yeah, plain and simple. They love to screw you on your civil liberties. I don't mean to talk like that. I apologize. But speaking at the Brookside Institute last Thursday, Comey said that the police need new legislation to help them apprehend criminals who use encryption to hide incriminating evidence. The FBI has sworn duty. Well, you got to violate the law to prosecute somebody for breaking the law. It's like the seatbelt thing. We're going to look into your vehicle, violating your Fourth Amendment to see if you're breaking a crime, and try to justify it. And this is ridiculous. And the FBI has sworn duty to keep every American safe from crime and terrorism, and technology has become the tool of choice for some very dangerous people, Comey said. And unfortunately, the law hasn't kept pace with technology, and this disconnect has created a significant public safety problem. So they are pissed that they can't encrypt the phones. But like I said last week, I don't buy this for 1 minute. I think this is a giant ploy to get you to buy the Apple iPhones. And there's probably, the day one when he built this phone, there's probably a backdoor in there already for them to spy on you. It's just probably a PR stunt to make it look good. So you buy the phones and the FBI can spy on you. Everybody wins in this case. Apple gets the sales, the government gets to intrude on you. So I guarantee this is a giant PR stunt. And if I'm wrong, I apologize to Apple. I apologize to Google. But you know, again, like I said last week and the week before, the first two companies to come out to admit that the government was spying on you with their services, and they allowed it, was Google and iPhone. And Apple, I'm sorry. So there you have it. I mean, you be the judge from there. I did a good report on YouTube channel. It's Truth Radio Show. That's the YouTube channel. We did a great report on that, exposing it. And that was an excerpt from last week's show. But, you know, this new article, FBI wants Congress to mandate backdoors and detect devices to facilitate surveillance. So anyway, you know, I mean, they have it, and you be the judge. Is it a hoax, or is it just Apple and Google deciding, hey, we're going to comply with the customer demands now? And if that's true, it's really pissing Mr. Comey off that he can't intrude on you. So, but the thing is, you can never let your guard down, folks. But either way, they're going to find a way in anyway. I mean, no matter what device you have, what service you have, they are going to find a way to go through back doors, whatever they want to do, to invade on your privacy. And they'll even stick a damn truck in front of your house, homing in on every vibration that comes out of your house and frequency. So they're always going to find a way to intrude on your privacy. So, I mean, it's just so much ridiculousness. And speaking of intrusion, I mean, I got to get into this because before I even hit the news, I mean, we got the Pope embracing evolution now, and more Ebola news. Now the NGO envisions a global one-child policy. These NGOs is non-governmental organizations from the UN. They're trying to push the one-child policy we've been telling you about for years. Obama said he'd back at the time. That was back in 2010. But we got a lot of news to cover. But let's talk about Amtrak. I mean, this is... oh, man, this is like so ridiculous. It's not even funny. It really is. And we're going to get into that the next segment here. And it is so ridiculous. Amtrak saying purchasing train tickets with cash is suspicious activity. Unbelievable. And wait till you hear what they deem as suspicious activity. And those of you who heard my show Monday know already, but yeah, sorry if it sounds like repetitive news, but this is very important. It needs to get out to this audience as well. By the way, you got Cheerios and gay adoption. And again, some of this news you already heard on Monday's show, and I just got to go over this briefly. Cheerios and gay adoption. You got corporate giant General Mills is geared to in its product line to support gay inclusion agenda. So they're trying. What the thing is, first of all, even before, I'm not even going to get into the article because I'm not going to say I criticize gays or whatever. You know what I mean? The thing is, what the hell's Cheerios got to do with gay adoption? It's a cereal. Unbelievable. And again, we covered this news Monday, but in a lawsuit, college student shunned for anti-gay view, anti-constitutional. That's, I mean, if he doesn't want to be gay, and he said, you know, it's your right to do so. And the Bible does say it's a sin, just as much as us looking upon a woman lustfully is a sin. There's nothing wrong with saying that you're not gay and you're against it. It's not that you're against the person, you're against the sin. Nothing wrong with that. And you got city arrest passes for refusing to perform gay weddings. And then just going over some headlines about this, we already covered Monday. And this shows you the attack on Christianity, folks. I mean, you can't preach the Bible without being listed as a hate group. And it's got that bad, folks. And you think it's bad, wait till you hear about the Pope. And we're going to cover that in the next segment. I mean, it is going so bad, folks. I mean, never in my life or your life you thought you'd living in a time that, hey, you know, talking about Jesus is a hate crime. Just reciting what God says is a sin and it's wrong and right is a hate crime. Never in your life you thought you would hear any of this. That, you know, Homeland Security and the FBI are listing Christians as domestic terrorists. And if you want proof of that, go right to the National Archives website, go to the Homeland Security or the FBI's website. It's called, the MIAC report lists it as well. I think it's an Operation Endgame, don't quote me on that. But it is in the FBI's Project Mosquito and the MIAC report. So if you want to go, just type those in Google. You get the PDF files right from the horse's mouth, listing people who preach against the New World Order, preach biblical prophecy, and who are Christians, are terrorists. And Jesus says you will be persecuted for your faith, and you're seeing that now. People are being killed all over the planet for their faith. And you got Pastor John Hagee, nasty welfare recipients don't deserve to live, he says. And again, these are just headlines we covered Monday. I just want to go over. Just shows you the attack on Christianity. And the sources are on the video portion you're going to see over the weekend on the Truth Radio Show YouTube channel. And that was the Greenville Gazette reporting that. Pastor John Hagee is saying that anybody that's on welfare, all you welfare recipients, you don't deserve to live. This is coming from a so-called man of God, which is a false prophet. And in the letter news here, you got Google executive, reported by New York Times. He makes a record-breaking 26-mile parachute jump. A prominent computer scientist at Google parachuted from a balloon near to the top of the stratosphere on Friday, falling faster than the speed of sound and breaking the world altitude record just set 2 years ago. When you see the guy from the Red Bull, there's a historic jump. I mean, that's great stuff. I mean, I wish I had the money to do that. I would love to do something like that. That would be exciting. It really would. And it's like, it's unbelievable. It's like, then, you get to this good news. I mean, I like that. It shows right there the potential of humanity. But, that's why we cover all the news for, because there's light at the end of the tunnel, folks, other than this doom and gloom news. The potential of humanity is so great. We're reaching for the stars, literally, and you got our government trying to keep people down, keep you suppressed in all which ways and directions. And it's gotten that bad, folks, that the American dream, it's basically you got to be asleep to believe in it. That was from George Carlin, one of his skits there, and people laugh and everything, but the guy was telling the truth. It's the American dream, and you got to be asleep to believe in it. And exactly that's all it is a dream. And it's Giant Club, and guess what? You're not part of it. And you type that into YouTube. It's a funny skit by George Carlin, but he was talking about the elite of the world and everything. And but the thing is that these people love to interfere with humanity. And again, the potential of humans. I mean, 26 miles above the earth. I mean, could you imagine that? You're free falling by yourself faster than the speed of sound, like 800 miles an hour. I mean, that was insane in a good way. And by switching back over, you got Judge Andrew Napolitano saying that Obama a candidate for impeachment if he gives illegals green cards, reported by Steve Watson, Infowars.com. Former New Jersey Superior Court Judge Andrew Napolitano, which I think he should be running for president. I endorse you and I beg of you, I plead of you, Mr. Andrew Napolitano, to run for president. We need you. Anyway, he hit out at the president this week, over revelations that the Obama administration is overseeing a federal order for 34 million blank work permits and green cards. 34 million illegal immigrants are going to get green cards. And I think this is part of the whole amnesty thing. It really is. And they're not telling the people what's going on. They're sliding it through because they're not telling you they can't deport people no more because they're under a new system. It's called the North American Union. It's not implemented yet, but it's signed into power. George Bush did this before Obama even stepped foot in the White House. We are in the North American Union, folks. That's why they're coming over the border. That's why they can't do nothing about it. That's why the border's wide open, because they are under a new system. They're not telling the public this. I'm telling you right now. That's why they're giving the work permits out, the green cards, the driver's license in some states, because they have to now. Yes, it's unconstitutional. Yes, it's against our national sovereignty, but they're under a new system of our federal government. It's called the North American Union. And people, you need to wake up to this because it is no longer the United States of America. It's the North American Union, period. That's why, again, the borders are wide open. They're not telling you this, folks. It's already been signed, sealed, and delivered. Lou Dobbs, the first mainstream media reporter, he came out. And that was one of the reasons why they kicked him off the air. That and revealing the whole operation about the amnesty plan, because he was exposing the North American Union. Type in Lou Dobbs, North American Union. He's got several reports on the North American Union saying the United States, as you know, is over. It's all come out, folks. But they're not telling the general public this. And people say, well, how do you know? Well, because they blatantly say it, and they expect people to pick up on it. That's how they know. And, I mean, it's just, you need to wake up, folks. You really do. You need to wake up because we are living in the North American Union. Again, it's not implemented yet. Obama was supposed to do this, but thanks to the resistance, they are back behind their plans, folks. And if they have their way, they're going to shoot right over a North American Union. They want a one-world government. That's what the plans are for a one-world government. And they're going to, the North American Union has to be implemented for them to do that. And it's already here. I don't know. It's so complex. But we are living in the North American Union again. That's why the borders are wide open. That's why they're giving green cards and just escorting them, illegal immigrants, on our tax dollars, giving them homes, hotels, and everything else, on our tax dollars, giving them green cards, driver's license, because they have to under the North American Union Treaty. It's the NAFTA and GATT program where Clinton was part of too. And Obama was supposed to usher us into that. But again, thanks to the resistance, we've been holding it back. Because right now, I think it was scheduled for 2010 in the summertime that they were going to implement fully the Real ID Act all through the whole country, which failed miserably. Many states in Rhode Island too stopped it. They said they don't have the money, but the government's like, hey, we need to push it. But we stopped it all. I mean, we put a big halt on the whole operation. And you got to do more research on North American Union. It's not conspiracy. It's on record, all of it. And you got NGO. They call for a one-child policy, pandemics to solve overpopulation. And this is Paul Joseph Watson. That's all Obama's science czar said. His new Ebola czar. He was saying that the African population is too much. Basically saying, hey, let them die off first before you start doing something about it. And you got the National Academy of Sciences has published a shocking report with the effigies of Chinese-style global one-child policy and only means of reversing climate change and reducing global population to a sustainable number of 1 to 2 billion people. So they want to kill off 5 to 6 billion people. And to do this, they're saying right here again, global depopulation. We've been telling you this, but we get labeled as a conspiracy theorists because, they don't talk about that when they openly say this stuff. And again, Obama's Ebola czar coming out to say, hey, the African population is too much. In other words, let them die off and before we do something about the Ebola that we planted there. Basically, we do got to go to a break. When we come back, we go the Amtrak. This is just ridiculous. You got to hear this. You got to laugh yourself. But anyway, you listen to the Truth Radio Show right here on Alternate Current Radio. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Truth Radio Show on AlternateCurrentRadio.com. Again, NGOs saying that, non-governmental organizations saying that the global one-child policy needs to be done to solve overpopulation. And this is crazy, folks. And they want to reduce it to 1 to 2 billion people. That's 5 to 6 billion people dead. And a white paper says entitled Human Population Reduction is Not a Quick Fix for the Environment Problems, and authored by the University of Adelaide's Corey Bradshaw and Barry Brook, even entertains the impact of the world wars and global pandemics that wipe out 6 billion people as a potential methods of combating the threat posed to the environment by overpopulation. So here they have it. You can read right through the lines. Those people who have the ability to think on their own can see exactly what they're saying. Let the plagues go on, let the wars go on to help reduce the population. And you got the globalists all the time talking about this stuff. How they're going to induce like the Ebola and whatnot to reduce the population. A global pandemic to reduce the world's population. And they believe it helps the earth. The low levels do. But the top people no, it's not about that. It's about a new world order, and they don't want to share with nobody. And Obama, back in 2010, at the World Treaty meeting, or whatever it was, he did say when they were going to sign that World Treaty, and if, God threw the monkey wrench in that. Because they said the global warming, the climate change, we want to impose a carbon tax, we want to impose a cap and trade. And all the countries in this program were ready to sign because, global warming. But God threw the monkey wrench in the works, and we were hours away, folks, hours away from a new world order. Obama said he didn't care what the American people nor Congress has to say. He's got to sign that treaty. Well, when that implements a one-child policy we're talking about here and cap and trade and carbon tax. They were ready to sign. But God, again, throws a monkey wrench in the works because it ain't the time. And Europe got covered in record snowfall. Washington, D.C. back in 2010, that's right in the same weeks that happened. Record snowfall in Washington, D.C. That caused a lot of countries to say, hey, wait a minute, if we're getting global warming, how the hell do we got record snowfall? All over Europe, in Washington, D.C., of all places in the country. That's God saying, hey, and I don't think so. And several countries backed out of this. They found out global warming was a fraud. And of course, Obama never signed a treaty because it never took place. But that was how close we were from New World Order, folks. And the one-child policy, they have this in China. They have China. You can look this up. So you can research this. Mobile execution vans. They drive around, and if they get a report of some family harboring a kid, they have more than one child, and they didn't pay the taxes on it or get approval from the state, they go and kill the child on the spot. In some cases, the parent as well. In the womb, out of the womb, it doesn't matter. If you get caught with more than one child without the permission of the state paying the taxes, the child's dead. In more cases, you are too. And Obama said, and the hypocrite, he's got 2 kids himself, but it's all right for him. But one-child policy, he will back up. And he's got to back up post-birth abortion. And post-birth abortion is just basically saying, I'm going to go to a car dealership. I'm going to buy a car. I got 30 days. If I don't like the car, I'll bring it back. Same thing in the hospital. Post-birth abortion, I think it's up to 45 days now, and I think they're moving up to 3 years. It is disgusting. Yeah, just research post-birth abortion. On record, Obama said he would back it. And it's all the mainstream media even picked that up. Well, it's basically, the child's born, you bring it home, and 30 days later, whatever the time frame is when they implement this, whatever the time frame is, 2 years from now, I don't want my kid no more. I'm just going to bring it back to the hospital. They'll kill the kid, and they'll classify it as abortion. Post-birth abortion. But, women have rights. People have rights to kill their kids. No, they don't. They don't have right to kill another human being. It's not your body no more. When you have a seed in you, okay, it's a life form. Before it becomes a fetus, it's a life form. That is not only your body no more. You're sharing it with another human being. Okay, and if you don't want kids, don't open your legs, period. And I'm going to tell you exactly how it is. And there's people who use abortion for birth control. You got to rot in Hades. That's exactly where you're going to go. Because if you like taking deaths and getting off on it, to say, it's my right to do it, and I'm just going to go get an abortion because it makes me feel good. Because you're a spawn of Satan himself. And you're a despicable, disgusting human being if you think that. And you men too. I'm not just talking to women. The men encourage you. Oh yeah, go get an abortion because I don't have to pay no bills. You know what? I'm not gonna get to that because I'm gonna calm down because I'll just go off and we're gonna talk about the Amtrak stuff and it's just it really is. It just makes me mad. It really does. This stuff just really sinks in, especially with kids. You just want to jump through this. I just want to flip my desk right over right now, march to 100 of these scumbags, and just beat the crap out of every single one of them. And with this kind of feeling you get, it's like you could have an army of 1,000 people in front of you, and you got this rage that you could take every one of them out by yourself. That's the kind of rage I get when I know, because I've seen the procedures. I've seen how this stuff's done. I visualize it all the time. I couldn't even hold my niece. When my niece's daughter was born, I couldn't even hold her because I had to give it back because, the newborn, I was just visioning all that stuff, all these babies dying and how they're killed. It's a grotesque, and they say it's an easy procedure. Yeah, easy for you, but they don't tell you what they do to that child, that baby and the woman. It is horrifying. And that's why most girls end up, when they find out the truth, they end up on some medication for a mental evaluation, whatever, because they finally realize, hell, wait a minute, this ain't easy at all. That poor child, they got executed. I can't even, man. It's that grotesque, folks. And I know it sounds dramatic, and it's an understatement what I'm talking about. And I seen the procedures. Again, it just makes you want to rip these people apart. It really does. And I don't mean to think that way or sound like that, but it makes you want to get off your chair and just run out and beat the crap out of these people. And just go drive a truck right through Planned Parenthood. I would love to do that. If I had one day to live, I would do that. I would get into a truck full of gasoline, make sure nobody's in there, of course, when it's closed, and drive through the Planned Parenthood headquarters. I would do that. And Yeah, I don't mean to talk like that, really. It just makes me that mad. It really does. It's poor innocent kids, and nobody even cares. You know what I mean? But I mean, we do got to switch gears here because it's getting upset by the minute here. It's, it's a lot of news here we got to cover. We got still the Ebola coming up, the Pope embracing evolution. We're gonna get that to the next segment. I mean, that's insane altogether. I mean, if you're a man of God and you say, we're going to get into that the next segment. We got to cover this Amtrak now. And, this is going to help me a little better because it's going to make me laugh here because, I mean, when you should get those visions of those children in your head, it's hard to get out, really is. And especially if you're a person who loves family, loves children, loves everything about family and everything, wholesome human being stuff. Yeah, and you see this gory, and I don't blame half the people half the time that don't want to get into the truth movement, because you see it all, folks. You hear it all, you see it all, stuff that you could never imagine. I mean, Steven Spielberg, George Lucas, or any of these people could not make this stuff up. All together, they put their heads together, they couldn't make this stuff up. In truth, this is stranger than fiction, really is, and I'm writing on over here. But you got Amtrak purchasing train tickets with cash is a suspicious activity, reports Paul Joseph Watson. And where they get this from is the guidelines for Amtrak customer service employees. And they all got the memo, Amtrak, all the employees did. And purchase a train ticket with cash, exiting the train before or after other passengers, or appearing calm or nervous, are all examples of behavior that Amtrak employees have been told to report as suspicious activity. All right, hold on. So if you're not nervous, you're not calm, then what in the hell are you supposed to be? You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. And a document titled Guidelines for Amtrak Customer Service Employees, which was obtained by the ACLU after a Freedom of Information Request Act, lists a number of different behaviors that are indicative of criminal activity and should immediately be reported to law enforcement personnel by Amtrak ticket agents. And we were supposed to go down there today. I was just like, we were trying to get into the Obama thing. He was coming down to support this guy Laura's running for Providence, Rhode Island mayor, but we're going to get to that later. We couldn't get in the place. I mean, the Secret Service, they already knew who I was, and they totally denied me even near the place. So we're going to talk about that next week anyway. But in these behaviors, the Amtrak, this is the behaviors in that document, and the guidelines are right on the article here. Again, Infowars.com. Amtrak purchasing train tickets with cash is a suspicious activity. Now you can get the PDF file from there as a direct link to the Amtrak's website, or where the I guess the ACLU or whatever, what have you. But anyway, those behaviors include this. This is going to make you laugh. Now imagine that you're a passenger going on a train, whatever you're doing, going to work. A lot of people commute to work and back and forth, whatever, or just do whatever. And anyway, unusual nervousness of traveler. Well, okay, maybe. Unusual calmness or straight ahead steer. So you're sitting on the train for an hour and a half, and of course, you just got to be relaxed and calm, and just like probably go into steer into space, which most people do. So that's suspicious activity. And looking around while making a phone call. So, most people I see them, they do look around, but they're on their phones. Because, oh, look at me, I'm on the phone. Oh, yeah, like the phone, just came out yesterday. I see people do that all the time, like they're Mr. Big or whatever because they got a cell phone. Everybody in the planet's got a cell phone. But anyway, that's suspicious activity. And position among passengers, disembarking ahead or lagging behind the passengers. In other words, disembarking, in other words, you're coming on or going, whatever. And if you're in the front of the line, it's suspicious activity. So I can imagine the people that'll be funny. They'll fight. No, you go first. You go first. And the person that's behind lagging, who knows if the guy's late running. You just got his ticket now, so he's got to run and catch up or whatever. Or he's lagging behind because he's trying to get his stuff together. Yeah, it's ridiculous. And there's more. If you think that's ridiculous, carrying little to no luggage is suspicious activity. Again, people here in Rhode Island, they commute to Boston every day to go to work. My aunt did this, and she didn't bring no luggage with her. Most people go to work and come back. It's like riding a bus. There you go, right on the Amtrak at the station over there in Providence or in Attleboro, and they go to Boston, and they don't bring no luggage with them to go to work. And here's a kicker. Purchase tickets in cash. Not everybody has credit cards, wants to use their debit cards because of the fees or what have you. So purchasing your tickets in cash is major suspicious activity. As we talked about over the years, how paying toll booth with the $50 bill, the guy was detained. You can't use $50 bills in Greg's restaurants or for $100 bills. We kept meaning to go there and do that because they make you fill out a form and all that. But anyway, purchasing tickets immediately prior to boarding. So, all right, I'm gonna go to Boston. I gotta go into work now because some guy called out and went, hey, could you come in 2 hours to fill this guy? All right, I gotta go to Boston. So I run to the train station, buy it in cash quick, and get right on the train right before I leave. That's suspicious activity. Unbelievable how that sounds. And it's right in the guidelines for Amtrak customer service employees. Unbelievable. And the thing is, how do you act? If you're calm or you're nervous, what's in between calm and nervous? Somebody please tell me. If you're first in line or last in line, what the hell? I mean, really? Everybody talks on the phone. I mean, let's go through the list again. Unusual nervousness of travels. Now, maybe, it is a train, not a plane, but you could go to visit somebody you've never seen. So, that's questionable. But unusual calmness of staring straight ahead. That's everybody. Looking around while making a phone call. That's almost everybody. Position among passengers. The being first in line behind. That's everybody that's got the luck of the draw. Carrying little to no luggage. I mean, that's almost everybody that commutes to work. Purchasing tickets in cash. That's a lot of people. Purchasing the tickets immediately prior to boarding. That's a lot of people. So anybody who rides Amtrak, basically, they're saying, is suspicious activity. So stay off the trains because you could be a terrorist. And of course, such behaviors are so ludicrous, broad, that virtually anyone is likely to have engaged in at least one of the above activities at some point for a perfectly innocent reason. So there's not one person out there who's ridden on a bus, a train, or a plane and not has experienced one of these emotions or actions, being calm and nervous. Not one person out there. So all of you, all me, everybody is all suspicious activity. It's ridiculous. And I don't mean to spend so much time on this one article. Still got the Pope embraces evolution. I mean, that's we're going to get to that the next segment because that is wow. Well, I mean, that's all I have to say about that. And the suspicious activity for doing this is unbelievable, it really is. And let's go through some Ebola news real quick. I mean, we got a stack of news on the Ebola. Ebola, that's what it is. And Ebola can survive for months on surfaces, reports CurtinInfoWars.com. The deadly virus can survive for more than 7 weeks on certain surfaces, according to research conducted by the UK's Defence Science and Technology Laboratory. Tests performed prior to the latest Ebola outbreak, I keep saying Obama, it's the same thing, in 2010 showed that Zaire strain lived in samples in low temperatures on glass for nearly 2 months. And the results were published in a paper by Sophie Smither and her colleagues at a laboratory titled "The Survival of," I think it's Phalaros. Excuse me, I'm bad with medical terminology. But the viruses and liquids on solid substrates and in the dynamic aerosol. So they're saying, hey, the virus can live on surfaces for months. And Ebola camps. Fox Analysis calls for quarantine camps in every city. Steve Watson InfoWars reports this, and we've been talking about this as well. They're setting up in every city across the United States with Ebola camps. The medical camps were set up for the Ebola virus. And Fox News is always ahead of the curve on panicking the general public into giving up all their rights, and programming Monday during an analysis openly called for quarantine camps to be set up all over the country to house those with the Ebola-like symptoms. Fox contributor and former actress Stacey Dash called for the federal government to establish emergency centers to hold Americans in isolation, despite the fact that they have only been 2 confirmed cases of the Ebola here in the United States of America. And she says, I think they should set up a special centers for just Ebola in each state. Dash said, they shouldn't be letting people go into the regular hospitals where it could spread. Dingbat. Okay. Sometimes they shouldn't even let half these women talk on the mainstream media because they just sound like babbling fools. I mean, I have no room to talk. I stutter and mispronounce words. I sound like a babbling fool sometimes. But you know what? At least I'm talking about real information. These people just come out cockamamie statements and they expect them they get nominated for these reporter awards and whatnot. And she goes, I think that for the specific disease, we should have special facility with specially trained people. And she added, in the city, each city, that way it's not spread. And when a person walks in, they know what they're looking for, and they know if they find it, they know how to contain it, and they know how to infect themselves. And Mrs. Dash, do you know reality? That's my question. But we do got to go to a break. We'll be right back. And we're back on Truth Radio Show right here at Ebola. I was going to say Ebola, but I got that drilled in my head. Ebola, Obama. You got to try to combine the two words. But we're on alternatecurrentradio.com. And speaking of Ebola, we're going to get into the Pope in just a minute, but I just want to cover a little more on the Ebola news. Then another article here from InfoWars. Breaking. Mandatory quarantine facilities activated in New York. And just as we talked about the Ebola camps from Fox Analysis, New York and New Jersey will supersede guidelines set by the federal government to implement mandatory quarantine centers. A healthcare worker returned from West Africa to become the first person to be isolated. And that was a great report, and check that out to watch the video on that, Infowars.com. And you got Madsen, which we talked about this last week, some news from the Ebola last week. We're just going to skip over that because I don't want to. Because what I do is like I have two shows and I try to get the top news on both shows. And sometimes when people listen to both shows, some of the news might sound redundant. You know what I mean? But we do got to cover the headline news on both shows because it's just got so much news. I mean, like it's just hard to go through it all. I mean, like we're aiming to go down the Amtrak this coming week here. We're gonna try to talk to a PIO, that's a public information officer, to talk to them on these guidelines and what they the simple question. Instead of asking about all these questions, I think the most simple question would be, what does not constitute as suspicious activity? I think that would be the best question to ask. You know, right directly, because all the guidelines listed, everybody's suspicious. Even a newborn baby, you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? I just got to ask them right out, what consists of not being suspicious activity? Sleeping on a train? Oh, wait a minute, that could, you know, you're calm when you're sleeping, so you could be dreaming of terrorist activity. So we're going to come after you for that. Unbelievable. And I'll just get to the police state quick, and we're going to get to the Pope. Just got to breeze through this quick. And this is good, you know, on the light side here. You got two good stories right here. And these are real police officers, folks. These ain't like the scum, the corrupt scum that infiltrated our police departments. You got California officer returns man's life savings of $125,000. NBC Connecticut reports a man's life savings have been recovered after an off-duty California Highway Patrol sergeant found over $125,000 in cash in the middle of a Concord roadway. CAHP officials said on Monday. And long story short, he returned the cash to the owner. He could have kept that. Nobody would have known. But that's true man of the uniform. My hats off to him. And my hats off to the sheriff here. Paul Joseph Watson from Infowars.com is reporting that sheriff's officers refuse to participate in the future blood-drawn checkpoints. And Sheriff of Clark County, Ohio, has said that the office will refuse to participate in future blood draw DUI stops after an Infowars story prompt a huge backlash against the checkpoints during which drivers can forcibly have their blood taken by police. Infowars, they made a huge thing over this. And it prompted big media all over the country about this. And you got a great sheriff here in Ohio saying, hey, we're not going to participate in these blood-drawn, no refusal checkpoints. And my hat's off to him as well. And these are good cops, folks. These are what cops really are supposed to stand for. This is what a cop, the definition of a police officer is, right here. Great patriots in uniform that serve the public and the Constitution. And God bless us, these two officers I just talked about. And the day before the planned checkpoint last week, InfoWars published a story entitled No Refusal Blood-Drawn Checkpoints Planned for Ohio, in which we highlighted previous examples of how people have been forcefully strapped down by police and had their blood extracted while screaming things like, what country is this? And the scenes which resemble something you would expect to see out of North Korea or communist China. they were doing this. And InfoWars, big victory for InfoWars to do this. And to prompt the sheriff from Ohio to say, hell, we're not going to participate in these future blood-drawn things. And I think we got to move on because I got a lot to say with this next subject. I got more police state news we're going to get into next week. It's hard to get to every subject. We still got stuff on Big Brother news, technocracy and whatnot, miscellaneous news, ISIS stuff. I mean, the FBI and DHS, they're issuing a bulletin warning to all police departments all over the country, warning of possible ISIS attacks on police. And we seen that a couple weeks ago when that man attacked the police officers in New York with an axe. But anyway, we'll cover all that next week. But we do got time goes by so fast. I mean, it's unbelievable. Hours just, it's like a breath of air around here. Just like one breath and the show is over. I don't know where to begin with this. This is preposterous right here. The Independent is reporting that Pope Francis declares evolution and the Big Bang Theory are right, and God isn't a magician with a magic wand. So basically, he's saying right out, God is not almighty. The Big Bang Theory is right. And God's not really almighty. He's God, but he's not really almighty. He's not really the creator. That's exactly what he's saying. And Francis goes against Benedict the 16th's apparent support for intelligent design, but does he hail his predecessor's great contributor with theology? Now, regardless, Benedict the 16th, he's no angel either. He openly stated that you don't need God to forgive your sins, you can come to me. That's blasphemy right there. And second of all, if anybody call these guys Holy Father, Jesus says right in the book of Matthew, do not call any man upon the earth your father, for your father's in heaven. I don't know what part of that they don't understand. I'm not even going to get into that. That's a whole thing altogether. You can watch my reports on my YouTube channel. We got an explosive run going up today about the Pope. The Pope fulfills biblical prophecy. It's an explosive report, and I urge you, share it to your friends, families, neighbors, Catholics, Christians, even atheists, whoever. Share this report. It's on Truth Radio Show, my YouTube channel. Just type in Truth Radio Show, you go to my channel, and on the YouTube there, and you'll find this report, Pope Francis fulfills biblical prophecy. And it's not in a good way at all. I'll tell you that. It's the opposite side of the fence's part. Anyway, Tuesday the 28th, they were reporting this, that the theories of evolution and the Big Bang are real, and God is not a magician with a magic wand, quotes Pope Francis, as he declared it. And speaking at the Pontifical Academy of Sciences, the Pope made comments which excerpts said that putting an end to the pseudo theories, in creationism and intelligent design that some argue were encouraged by his predecessor, Benedict XVI. But anyway, Francis explains that both scientific theories were not incompatible with the existence of the Creator, arguing instead that they require it. So he's saying they have to have it. They both go hand in hand. There was a top evolution professor, I don't know if he still is, but he's in Brown University here in Rhode Island. He was the best one in the country, I guess, at the time, and he stated back in 2010 that evolution and God go hand in hand, which they don't. And we're going to get into that. And the Pope says here, when we read about creation in Genesis, we run the risk of imagining God was a magician with a magic wand able to do everything. But that is not so, said Francis. All right, let me ask you something, Pope Francis. You say that, right? What does God say? God created the heavens and the earth. Did he say there was a little dot? I mean, those of you who are going to watch this on the video screen over the weekend, Truth Radio Show YouTube channel, we post a video edition of this so you can see my beautiful muggy face. Anyway, you can see me and the articles we put up on the screen and all that. But I want to show people, you can visualize what a period on the paper looks like, a dot. And if you look on that's what they say the Big Bang Theory came from, a little dot. Now, if you believe in it, don't. That's not the point. Okay, I'm not sitting here and arguing against atheists. I'm arguing a man who claims to be of God. All right, it's not a debate here against evolutionists, against creationists, or whatever. And this the debate that this man claims to be of God, but he's supporting evolution. And you got right here, what this says it all right here. This guy, Michael Snyder of InfoWars, at the end of the American Dream reporting, this is on InfoWars. This is the perfect title. Right down to the point. The Pope's embrace of evolution brings us one step closer to a one world religion. And if you wanted to create a religion that almost everyone will love, how would you do it? Perhaps you would bring change to your faith to make it more appealing to the modern world that is changing at a blinding speed. And it goes on to talk about the same things I reported in my video back in January, which I incorporate in my video I made yesterday. And the thing is, the Pope, he's got the admiration of the Islamic groups, the Hindus, the atheists of all people, the gay activists of all people. He's got the admiration of them. All religions. He travels around when he was doing his Mideastern tour. He was traveling around with a Christian and Muslim leader to say we all serve the same God, and this is nothing more than what Pope John Paul II started, the ecumenical movement, to create a one world religion, which the UN said they would officially adopt. And now the UN is behind us 110% because they want a one world religion, and the Pope is doing just that. He's winning the admiration of everyone. He's doing more stuff than anybody's ever done. And any other Pope, has ever done. He is fulfilling biblical prophecy, folks. And it's not in a good way. Yeah, because the Bible says the false prophet, he's going to overlook the seven hills of Rome. That's the Pope. He's going to run the apostate church, the biggest church in the world, which is the Catholic Church. He's going to create that into the satanic one world religion. And he's doing just that. Now, I didn't say I want to clarify this. I never said he was the Antichrist. I said he's the false prophet of the Antichrist. Because the false prophet of the Bible that talks about in the end times, it pushes the world to a one world global government, society and cashless society and whatnot, but he ultimately pushes the world into one world religion that ushers in the Antichrist. And they declare him to be God. Because he brings world peace. And the thing is, people say, oh, what's wrong with world peace? Because world peace is destructive. Jesus himself said, there's a difference between the peace I can give you and what the world's going to offer you. The world is going to offer you peace, but it's not peace at all. It's the end of sovereignty, individual rights, and everything else. And, you wouldn't be able to say Jesus is the only way to heaven. And these people here, you got the clowns from the 700 Club all joining in on this parade here. You got a giant parade. You got the Christian ministers such as Billy Graham, Pat Robertson, Joel Osteen, Kenneth Copeland. You got Ted Turner, all saying, hey, we all serve the same God. Why does it get to heaven when the Bible says narrow is to get to heaven? But they're forming a one world religion, a new world order. Just as the Bible stated, and he warned us about the wolves in sheep's clothing, men who come in his name to say they are of Jesus, of God, but they're raven wolves in sheep's clothing. So you're seeing that now. And again, the Independent reporting that Pope Francis declares evolution and the Big Bang Theory are right, and God isn't a magician with a magic wand, which completely contradicts the entire book of Genesis. Completely. And it doesn't go hand in hand. It's like you're mixing oil with water. That's exactly what's going on. And the Pope we talked about, I think it's about a year or so, I don't remember, that he became Pope. They forced, I think it was 2000. Yeah, it's been about a year. I don't know. But anyway, he's fulfilling already. In 1 year alone, he's fulfilled more things than all the popes combined in the past. And it's not a good way. Remember, this guy's a Jesuit too. He was a Jesuit cardinal on record. And therefore, he takes orders from the Jesuit general, which is the Black Pope, they call him. And it's not conspiracy. This is all out in public records. But people don't want to look into it because they rather adorn this man to say, oh, he's the Holy Father. No, there's only one Holy Father, and I don't care who takes offense to this. You don't like it. This is what the Bible says. Not your catechism, not your other books or whatever you have. The Bible says the only Holy Father, the only one you should call Holy Father, and this is from the words of Jesus Christ, is God, the Creator, Heavenly Father, the Almighty himself. Nobody else. Period. And I don't have time to get into all that. Watch the video. It's an explosive video. It's up on YouTube right now. The Pope fulfills biblical prophecy. I mean, I can't say enough about it. I'm like, my throat's blown out right now. I just did so many reports. I was on some radio shows this week, a lot of them at that. And every time something big happens in the news, especially about this stuff here, I get a lot of radio shows that call me because they know I specialize in these areas. And they say, hey, we need you on the air to talk about this subject. And especially stuff that I bring up, I make reports on, especially the Ebola thing. I mean, I called it from day one. Well, the very first outbreak, it wasn't about 20 people about the Ebola affecting them. even before mainstream media even made a big deal about it. I was the very first one to make that report. I got it time logged and everything on YouTube about how the Ebola is going to create martial law here in America and force inoculations. And everything I explained in that video is coming to par as I said it would. Not that I claim to be a psychic or a prophet or whatever, because because it was expected. When you know the minds of the elite, you know what they're going to do. Plain and simple. It's like you're playing another football team, and your scout or whoever brings you, hey, look, there's a playbook right here. These are the plays they're going to run. So you know what plays they're going to run in a certain different times, like let's just say a third down or something. You know they're going to run this play. You know it. Exactly by studying the elite, you know what plays they're going to run. And their backup plays and everything else. And we've been calling for this for a while. I mean, like with the H1N1, when it came out on record, I was saying, hey, this is just a beta test for something bigger. Even though Obama just recently came out to say, hey, this is just a preparation for something bigger. I don't know if he's using that to get everybody's attention off this, to make them think it's something else coming that's worse, to make them think this is just a test. But I believe this is the one, because they did the same thing with the H1N1 to see how many vaccines they could sell and how many people they could scare half to death. And at the time, it was to put all the pawns in place to push executive orders and sign all these decrees in event of emergency and martial law that they could declare quarantine and everything else. And you've seen that all happen. I mean, Connecticut's done it, Massachusetts done it, other states have done it. And if there's an Ebola outbreak, they have the executive power of the governors to declare martial law, which they call state of emergency. I remind people all the time, it's the same thing. But anyway, we're going to have more updated information on the Pope as well. I mean, this is just the beginning, folks. I mean, again, he's won the admiration of the gay people, the gay activist groups, the Hindus, the atheist groups of all people. Atheists adoring the Pope. Muslims, that's right, Muslims adoring the Pope. They say he's a great man. Okay, they're all conforming to one world religion. The Pope's read passages out of the Quran. He's kissed the Quran right on the altar there. That was Pope John Paul II that did that, but Pope Francis is doing the same thing. He's acknowledging every religion. Hey, you have Muhammad or who have you to go to heaven. You could have Jesus, but we all go to heaven. No. The Bible says the only way to the Father is through the Son, and that's Yeshua Messiah, Jesus Christ. Period. That's it. And I don't care who offends, but you know what? If you want to dare to quote, these people, they misuse the verses in the Bible. But if you want to dare to do that, I'm going to tell you right, flat out bold, okay? The only way to heaven is through Jesus Christ. But anyway, we're out of time. And thank you for listening. We'll be back next week. And this is Dan Badani for TruthRadioShow.com. Visit our webpage and make a donation if you can, please, to help fund the operation here. And you listen to Truth Radio Show right here on Alternate Current Radio. We will see you next week. God bless.